footage. VFX footage. VFX footage. VFX footage. VFX footage. VFX footage.
A pleasant afternoon to and a warm welcome to the views live on Freetown Television Network on channel 35 and on Freetown Radio on frequency modulation 90.4. I am Eustace Victor Jones. Our quote for today is from a Christian theologian and philosopher, Saint Augustine, which says, "Patientia commercens sapienti," means patience is the companion of wisdom. In the studio this afternoon, I have the co-chairman, National Remembrance Day Planning Committee, Commissioner Rashid Thomas. Welcome to the views.
Thank you very much.
He is talking on the significance of Poppy Day and the details of this year's celebration. And also within is the Joint Secretary of the Junior Doctors Association, Dr. Aliu Gengbe. Welcome to the views.
Thank you.
He is here talking on the 21 days ultimatum given to the Ministry of Health and Sanitation. Now, displaying on the screen is the number to which you would send your text message to in case you want to comment on any of what is being discussed in the program this afternoon. You could follow us on our Facebook page at FTN News, or you could also follow us on YouTube. Search for FTN Freetown Television Network Sierra Leone, and also through our Line application, just place a search for Freetown Television Network. Now we have a bit of problems with the number, so we would use this instead. If you want to send your comments or questions to any of what is being discussed, you could use the number 078-421-770, 078-421-770. Within the course of the program, it will be displayed on the screen for a smooth operation of the program. Now we'll commence the program this afternoon. I will start with Commissioner Rashid Thomas. Just briefly take us through the history of the First and Second World Wars, respectively.
The First and Second World Wars involved countries fighting all over the world. It all started in Poland, and Germany, backed by Italy, attacked Poland. And France and Great Britain entered the war in support of Poland. And they were assisted by their colonies, Sierra Leone being a colony of Great Britain. Sierra Leoneans were conscripted and they joined the war. So we are aware there are two wars, the First and Second World Wars. The First World War commenced in 1914 and ended in 1918. Well, it did not end as such, because hostilities continue, even though the League of Nations was formed to put an end to the First World War. Germany was the superpower then, heavy might in weapons and high military spirits.
Okay.
It escalated, though, which resulted in the Second World War of 1939. It escalated to the extent that Italy attacked Ethiopia. Japan and China were in wars. Japan attacked the Soviet Union. Germany attacked Austria. They also attacked Czechoslovakia. The Soviet Union was in war with Finland. Germany and France went into confrontation. Italy again attacked France. Japan and Indonesia. That was why we say the First World War continued. It all happened that it was Germany which started it all. But in 1945, when the United Nations Organization was formed, then hostility ceased. In 1945. On the 11th of November 1945. We thank God, after that war, there had not been any world war.
Thank you very much. Now, let me come over to you, representative from the Junior Doctors Association. Just give us a brief history of the organization.
Thank you once again. Thank you, Etienne, for hosting me. And just like you said, Judah Seal, and in short, but we are the Junior Doctors Association of Sierra Leone.
Okay.
We've been in existence and for quite a while, but we actually became a registered association in 2014 during the break of the Ebola scourge which we had, and during that outbreak we lost a lot of our senior colleagues, who most of their relatives are still wallowing and nothing is being substantially done for them as at this moment that I'm speaking.
Okay.
And we because you can agree with me that Sierra Leone, the doctor to population ratio is still abysmally poor, and as I speak at this moment, we have 300 doctors nationwide to cater for the 7.2 million population that we have. And out of that bulk that I've just mentioned, junior doctors made up of encompasses of about 80% of all doctors nationwide, and we make up the bulk of the doctor workforce nationwide. And the makeup of the association is basically for doctors who are practicing within their first 10 years after graduation from medical school, and mostly within the youth age bracket. And our aim is to, the association serves to look after the welfare of junior doctors. And like I mentioned, and junior doctors are by description those who are practicing within their first 10 years and for professional practice after graduating from medical school.
So now, you issued a 21 days ultimatum to the Ministry of Health and Sanitation. Why?
So before I go to answer the question proper, I want us to go back in retrospect and on certain statistics. Like way back in 2008, and a survey was done, the Sierra Leone Demographic Health Survey, and before the launch of the Free Healthcare Initiative, which is a laudable initiative. And during that time, and statistics show that life expectancy was 47 years, and infant mortality rate was 89 per every 1,000 live births, sorry, which means out of every 1,000 babies that are born, we expect 89 of them to die. And under 5 mortality was 140 out of every 1,000 live births. Maternal mortality ratio was 857 out of every 100,000 live birth. And another survey was done in 2017, in which the report was presented on 31st May 2017, which is the MDSR report, and which showed that the maternal mortality, which has now surged from what it used to be around 857 to now 1,165. That is saying a 26% jump just on that. Just under, yeah, just under 10 years. So with such statistics, it's something very worrisome. And also, in 2000 and quite recently, when the SDG goals were launched, and SDG 3, which actually looks at the health sector or healthcare, and you have the SDG 3, which actually commits nations and especially developing countries to increase on or improve on recruitment, development, training, and retention of health workforce. So, and what we find is that more towards these things that I've said, much is not being, we are not achieving, much is not being done. Yeah. So the junior doctors, like I mentioned, we became a full association in 2014, and it was born out of the fact that most of our colleagues were dying at that moment, and
we are dying of what?
From the outbreak. They
became
infected and they died. Yeah. So we decided to form ourselves into that entity, and we've been engaging with authorities concerned to see how we can improve on the general and status of the health sector, because we believe that we know the patients, we get first-hand experience with them, or first-hand experience with the various hospitals or institutions that are available in country, and we understand the problems that are present within these facilities. So we believe that we can be the best advocates for both for patients and the general improvement of the health sector. So for that reason, we've been engaging the authorities concerned since way back, just after the end of when the outbreak was declared over. We've written series of letters. We at some point we even met with the very higher authorities, but out of those meetings or out of those engagements, not all were fruitless. And even quite recently, we met with the current Minister of Health and Sanitation. That was like last week Friday. We met with him and we deliberated on this issue. And again, sometime back in July this year, 20th and 24th, we held our first General Assembly, in which we invited the authorities concerned, from especially Minister of Health. That General Assembly was a platform for us to go and look at these issues and discuss on them. But most of them didn't turn up for whatever reasons. Okay, but then again, after that General Assembly, we had a report, we compiled a report in which there were recommendations and recommendations which we personally delivered to their various offices. And those recommendations, and they have every bit of what is in this ultimatum and notice that we've sent to the ministry. So are they listening? Are they really looked at that report and given it the seriousness that it's due? Then definitely we wouldn't have been here.
What are these recommendations?
So they have in three parts and three components. And one was the improvement of the health sector itself, like with regards infrastructure, with regards equipment, with regards service delivery. And so the second part was improving or capacitating the human resource, the health workforce, and by this I mean improving on postgraduate training, and thirdly, and it has to do with the general condition of service of health workers. So then that's in short. Then these were the three components that we really paid attention to in that report.
So did you demand in any way for a salary increment?
salary increment was not at the forefront. What we asked was like asked to do around like.
But you did request for an improvement.
Yes, improvement on the general conditions of service. By this I mean, and most especially, you can agree with me that health workers are some of the most and exposed patients exposed people with regards to occupational hazard. And many times when in the hospital or in the theater, you might sustain a needle prick injury, or you might get a splash of bodily fluid into your eyes or wheresoever. And as I speak as at this moment, there is no medical insurance. We've not been paid anything like risk allowance, even and having graduated from medical school, and most of until quite recently, it's like, for example, myself, it took me about 5 to 6 months before I had a PIN code. So you can imagine what I went through, how I was sustaining on, or whatsoever I was being sustained on. It's really a difficult situation. And then if you move from there again, and like I'm staying in Lumley, I'm just using myself as a case study, and we have colleagues who are staying all the way Waterloo and far beyond the outskirts of Freetown. So I haven't graduated as a medical doctor, a newly graduated medical doctor. You know, society, the expectations are
enormous.
Enormous, yeah. And relatives, community members, everyone will be coming, and if you don't provide them that support, they will think like as if you just want to be mean, extremely mean. And if I'm staying at the outskirts of Freetown, I need mobility to convey me to my workstation, and such is not available. And we're not asking for cars to be provided or whatever, but a setup of a system which possibly buses can be provided. These buses will be able to convey health workers to their various duty station, or possibly they create a loan scheme, since you're already employed, since you have an income that is coming on a regular basis from where they can use to pay those loans, and even accommodation. These are the things. And what we believe is that in as much as we are called to serve, but at the same time we are human beings, we have relatives. In order for us to deliver services of quality and efficiency to our patient, then we need to be in a sound state of mind. And WHO otherwise describes or defines health like a complete state of not just the absence of physical infirmity or whatsoever. You have to be physically okay, you have to be anatomically okay, physiologically okay, and mentally okay as well. So these are the issues. These are just some of the issues.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Aliu. The program you're watching is The Views, live on Freetown Television Network on channel 35 and on Freetown Radio on FM 90.4. Send your text or WhatsApp messages to the number 078 421 770 078 421 770, or you could leave your comments on our Facebook live streaming page at FTN News. Commissioner, how is the Poppy Day related to these fought world wars?
Well, the wars were fought and millions of people died, both soldiers and civilians. In France, on Flanders Field, hectic battle was fought, and a substantial number of soldiers died, and they were buried on Flanders Field. So every year, survivors of the deceased soldiers, they go to Flanders Field like pilgrimage to plant crosses to remember their dead. Year in, year out, people all over the world They will come to Flanders Field to remember the dead soldiers. After a while, flowers burst out along the rows of crosses.
Okay.
These flowers were red flowers. They were poppies called the remembrance flower. And since then, people all over the world put aside the 11th of November. And at 11 o'clock in the morning, this is typical of what actually happened in 1945. It was at 11 o'clock in the morning on the 11th day of November, the 11th month, that armistice was signed. Armistice was the document, a kind of communique, the agreement which was reached to stop hostilities. And that's when the war ended. So it's put aside that every year to remember the soldiers who lost their lives because they fought for peace, freedom and justice. But Sierra Leone, being a member of the United Nations and more so a member of the Commonwealth, we treat this date as a significant event. We converge, hold Thanksgiving service, and do likewise. In other countries, Thanksgiving services are held in churches, some in cemeteries where soldiers of the First and Second World War were buried. And when we say Remembrance Day, it is to remember
Those fallen.
Well, in Sierra Leone,
Do we have any here?
yes, we still have those we call the veterans of the Second World War.
Okay.
A good number of them are still alive, although they are aged. We associate this memory, remembrance, not only for those who died during the First and Second World Wars, including our ancestors, Sierra Leoneans who were recruited and fought and died. We also take this occasion to remember all those who died during our own civil war in Sierra Leone, which we describe as rebel war. Further, we also remember during the commemoration of Remembrance Day those who died during the Ebola period, and as recently as possible the storm, landslide incident which brought about the loss of so many lives. And the Sierra Leoneans were sending out on peacekeeping and humanitarian operations. We remember those of them who died. So bring all this together during the commemoration in Sierra Leone to remember these people.
All those who've died put together is what the significance of this day.
Yes.
So how is the National Remembrance Day Planning Committee putting strategies in place for this year's popular commemoration?
The whole commemoration is twofold.
Okay.
As I mentioned, on Flanders Field, where a good number of soldiers were buried, plus crosses were planted. So we have what we call the ceremony of the planting of the crosses.
Where?
It takes place at the Telecomins Garden, and it is penciled for Friday 9th, that's tomorrow, at 2 o'clock. We go there and we'll plant crosses on the foot of the bust of Dr. Radcliffe Jones on the Telecomins Garden. And the Sunday, coincidentally, the Sunday happens to be the 11th. Because if it had fallen during weekdays, we would have taken the Sunday nearest to the 11th. So we'll keep what we call the remembrance service. And then we do the ceremony of wreath laying. The solemnity of it all is when the whole congregation at the ceremony, at a standstill manner, observe 2 minutes silence. Then the trumpeters, the buglers, will blow the trumpets, giving the last post and the dead march. It's a very solemn ceremony, and throughout the country this year it becomes a policy of the government that at 11 o'clock on the 11th of November, every business should stand still. The observance, 2 minutes silence in memory of all these people who have lost their lives.
Where is the ground where this
the remembrance service will take place on the foreground of the Secretariat building? Well, it used to be the Legislative Council during colonial days. And there is a monument erected in the compound, and it's called the Cenotaph. The monument was erected by a colonial government, and they placed a plank on the 4 sides of the monument on which the names of soldiers who died during the First and Second World Wars and were buried elsewhere were inscribed, including our ancestors, Sierra Leoneans, who also fell. Their names are also inscribed on the plank. So this business takes place on Sunday on the foreground of the Secretariat building. It is backed by full military parade, during which members of other forces like the Sierra Leone Police, the Sierra Leone Correctional Service, the National Fire Force, the Ex-Servicemen Association, and voluntary organizations like Red Cross, Boy Scouts, Girls Guide, Boys Brigade, all of them, they come and take part in the parade. And we have also brought in the schools. Secondary schools, pupils will also form part of the parade and the ceremony.
Right, thank you very much, Commissioner. Experiences gathered here this afternoon will lead us through life's journey, I'm sure. You're watching the views live on Freetown Television Network on channel 35 and on Freetown Radio on FM 90.4. As you've heard, I have Co-Chairman National Remembrance Day Planning Committee, Commissioner Rashid Thomas, who was speaking just now, and I have the Joint Secretary of the Junior Doctors Association, Dr. Aliu Gembe. They're both in the studio with me this afternoon. Let's go for a short break, and when we return, we'll continue with the rest of the program. The program is The Views, and it's live on Freetown TV.
VFX footage. VFX footage. VFX footage.
Well, from the word Remembrance Day, it comes from the verb to remember. and we remember those soldiers who fell during the First and Second World Wars. This day is put aside to remember them, because it was on that particular day, the 11th of November, on the 11th hour, 11 o'clock in the morning, on the 11th day of the 11th month, that's November 1945, that's the treaty for peace was signed to stop hostilities, to end the war. So this day is significant. So every year on the 11th, countries of the world, especially Commonwealth countries, hold this as a significant event. It requires long planning, and by tradition, this committee, the Remembrance Day Planning Committee, plans the program. It's in two folds. We say the Friday to the Sunday, 11th. If the 11th falls on weekdays, we take the Sunday nearest to the 11th. First, we are what to call the ceremony of the planting of the crosses. This is to besmear the activities that took place on Flanders Field. Flanders Field was the battlefield in France where thousands of soldiers died and they were buried on Flanders Field. So every year, the survivors of the deceased soldiers, they go to Flanders Field and they plant crosses on the graves of fallen heroes and heroines. After a period of time, red poppy flowers just burst out along the rows of the crosses. And these flowers are called the remembrance flowers. They're called poppy, red poppies. And to commemorate the end of hostility, it's been designed artificially, as you see I'm pinning up red poppy.
Be and the likes. So in that situation, and that will end up incapacitated within the next say few years. So I need to be assured that there is a system that is going to take care of me. There should be like risk allowance and medical insurance, all those things. These are some of it's not like all we want to. In July this year, around the 20th and the 24th, we held our first general assembly as an association, in which we invited authorities concerned for us to go and sit down and deliberate and look at. And when we did our reports, the reports came out with resolutions and recommendations and highlighting all these problems. Those reports, and we delivered the reports to their various offices, but no action was taken. Yeah, are they taking any action based on the recommendations of that report? Then we wouldn't have been here. We saw the budget, and like I said, that's those recommendations and acted on them, and that will have reflected in that budget. So, and again, to the public, we want to and we want to appeal to you that this step that we are taking is not just about us, it's about the good of country and good of every at some point in our life. We want things to get better. We want That's why we are calling on the relevant authority. By looking at our concerns, that will help to change the face of our able one that will attract other people from other nations to come to Sierra Leone, and we want to start warning out and our citizens to neighboring countries. And now people are even leaving for Liberia. Can you imagine? So it tells we need to move forward as a nation. We need to do that very fast. And the ultimatum with global standards, one in which we want to start seeing people coming to Sierra Leone to seek health care rather than we doing the inverse. Timing, and we believe, and this is the time, because we've engaged. This thing did not start today. We've engaged on several occasions and the relevant authorities, and this engagement has started since way back and post Ebola period, that so to speak, late 2015 or so, and we've continued those engagements till date, and even as early as last week Friday, we were at the minister's office, the Minister of Health and Sanitation, and the executive. We met with him and we spoke lengthily on these issues. And because we realized that we are not making any headway, that's why we decided to take this action. We did not, as an executive, just decided to take the action, but it's a collective decision from the entire membership. And yes, that's what we're doing. And we want to apologize.
It is welcome back. Should in case you're just joining us, this is the Views live on Freetown Television Network on channel 35 and on Freetown Radio on frequency modulation 90.4. I am Eustace Victor Johnson. In the studio this afternoon, I have the co-chairman National Remembrance Day Planning Committee, Commissioner Rashid Thomas, and the joint secretary of the Junior Doctors Association, Dr. Aliu Gembe. Now, if you're just joining us, the number to which you would send your text or WhatsApp messages to is 078-421-770. Get your voices heard on the program this afternoon. You could also drop your comments on our live stream on Facebook at FTN News, and we'll ensure to read all of them before the program ends this afternoon. I come over to you, Doctor. Seems the problems are many. Improvements on the health sector, lack of equipment and sophisticated paraphernalia to administer health treatments, improvements on postgraduate studies, and your general services as health practitioners. Which of which is the most important at the moment? It's certain that they would not attend to all of these in a row. It have to be systematic if any changes should occur, even apparently. So which one would you choose as the primus amongst all of these factors?
Very tricky question.
Very tricky.
For us, we think all of them and can be compound all of them, then definitely it will lead us as a nation
forward
to an improved healthcare delivery. So it's not like they can go exclusively on their own.
Okay.
They are like not independent of each other. They are they are all mutual, yeah, in the sense they all lead into one single goal.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I said it's a very tricky question. So, and again, for just a piece of information for the public and our seniors, our parent body decided to be part of this. They've been monitoring the whole situation.
So they're in support.
Yes, and they've put out a press release.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's out there for public consumption. So that is to tell you the new trend in which this thing has taken. Yeah. So again, like just to lay emphasis, and we all could recall that quite recently or in the past, and there's been this campaign, and which has been ongoing for babies who are born for a certain condition called biliary atresia, which affects the liver. A similar condition from which Bill Mustafa suffered from, and so too, and we have another baby. The campaign is ongoing and the likes, and most of the time, these funds after being raised, and it is for it's for this babies to be taken outside Sierra Leone for treatment. So what does that tell you? Because the money is mostly in tens of thousands
of dollars.
So first of all, had it been that we have that proper health infrastructure or health system to take care of those conditions, then that money will have remained in Sierra Leone, and again, our national pride will have been sustained. So you see, these are some of the things we are fighting to change. It's not just about our welfare or general condition, but we believe that you cannot separate those general welfare or conditions of health workers and out of the equation. But all of them will lead us to a positive definition of an improved healthcare delivery. So again, like I mentioned, just for the basic things, we are not asking for the too complicated or sophisticated equipment or machineries. Let's start from the basics. These are the things that we need to run the affairs of the various hospitals that we're coming from on day-to-day basis. Provide us with those things and see and watch the best will come out of us. This is just what we are asking for. And another thing I wanted to mention is like I stated earlier on, that health workers are some of the most exposed people rather when it comes to occupational hazard. Some of my colleagues are currently on what you call the post-exposure prophylaxis for people who are exposed to HIV infection. So, and that one will span, they will be on medications for till 28 days. And can you imagine the psychological effects of being on that medicine? And at the end of it, you don't even know your fate. So you see, and there are a list of other disease conditions to which we are exposed on daily basis. So this is why we are calling on authorities that you need to come back and sit down with us and let's look at these issues and address them. And like I said, this is something that has been ongoing since and just after the end of the Ebola outbreak, and we've been going back and forth without any result. So this time we decided that we need to call it and say enough is enough. We need to change the narrative. We need to move forward as a nation.
So would you say attention therefore is paid to the health sector in Sierra Leone? A little or even no attention is paid to the health sector, which is why the sector is strangled by so many ill factors. Thereby restricting your powers as doctors to administer professional treatment to patients who are flown abroad on a daily basis.
So attention is being paid. We follow through with the budgets in the world of Parliament.
How much was allocated to the health sector?
Total of 10% of the
is that much
budget. And according to the Abuja Declaration in April 2001, and it's commit nations to increase health budget spending to at least 15%.
Would you say fairly this allocated fund is enough to take care of all of the ill factors you're suffering from?
No. Remember, I said at least 15%.
15 at least.
At least 15%. So we are still below the threshold to begin with. And in as much as we want to commend the government for taking the initial allocation from 6-point-something% to 10%, which is good, but we think more needs to be done, and another thing is that there are areas priority. There are areas which we think should have been prioritized, like some of these things that I've just listed here, like improvement on attention on training, postgraduate training of especially with doctors and pharmacies and the likes, and improvement on the general conditions of health workers. Then also like improving the general outcome of, because if you walk into a place like Kano today, I'm sure you'll be shocked at what you see.
I'm not sure you want to talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. Just
All right, let me come over to Commissioner. Commissioner, these people who fought, I'm sure they left behind parents and family members, and I'm sure they'll want to be honored by taking care of their families who have been left behind. So, do we see much of them being cared for necessarily?
Yes. First, there is what we call the Sierra Leone Ex-Servicemen's Association.
Okay.
As soon as you are discharged from the army with good record, you apply for membership, and it's one such organization that is handling the welfare of survivors of the deceased soldiers. They have also developed what they call the Veterans Fund, Benevolent Fund. They are also contributing to that fund to help the welfare of the survivors. And the British government is also helping that fund. There is a program that is being pursued now for even the serving soldiers to be contributing to those funds, so that they themselves, when they retire, they would benefit a lot from those funds. They have challenges, as you may expect, but they are doing their level best.
Okay. So, over the years, have you been actually realizing the enormity of celebration that demands this day?
Actually, this year's is unique.
How so?
Well, the funds provided is one.
Wow.
I have been in this committee, I've been chairing this committee for the last 12 years. This is the highest funding, the biggest funding we've got. And the preparedness is really superb. More so, the current president is a retired brigadier.
Exactly. I wanted to say that.
And the Ex-Servicemen's Association, they are going all out. People all over the country are all coming to take part in the parade. And we are enjoying better publicity this time. Like we find ourselves here today.
Right. So, now, after the minutes of silence, and, the trumpets would have been blown, all the rites, spiritualities have been observed. What next? Do the crowd just disperse?
No. The marchers, they are regaled.
Okay.
And then, like the Queen does in England and all sorts of states and the Commonwealth, the President hoots his guests to a luncheon. And this year it's planned to be held in the canteen, modern standard canteen of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation.
Wow. Okay. All right. That's it for now. Let me come over to you, Doc. Now, you have been admitting to the fact that the issues are many and the likes. But again, what we see is, do you have any international body that will sort of coerce the government to do more? Because it seems as if, I'm quite sure you're aware, Doc, that the health sector is one of the most fundamental in the country. And ours is being strangled by so many factors. to an extent that it is also restricting your professional powers as a doctor. You cannot do much because you don't have the machines. So, how soon do we expect changes in the health sector? How soon? People are dying. People are being flown abroad by minutes.
So,
the charges are expensive. Tunes of dollars and pounds being paid to external hospitals for health services.
So, how soon? How soon? That one I can't comment because it's more to do with like
Government,
okay. Ministry level, and so on and so forth. But on our part as clinicians, we are always willing, we are always committed. We know that our duty is to serve the public. Our duty is to our patient, and that's why we have the Hippocratic oath to which we swear to, and we must serve and protect, and our patients always come first. And we want to, like I said, we are committed. Yeah, but if for me to give my maximum commitment and efficiency, I need to be in a sound state of mind, both with environment and my personal self. Because if I'm let's just assume I'm well taken care of, then the environment is that of a very poor one that is not conducive, then definitely there is that push factor that will pull me out.
Exactly.
And so we need everything to be in place.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why I say it has to do with what the authorities we want are going to do, and they must do that. They must bring those changes as soon as possible, if only they want an health sector that is enviable, that can compete with global best practice.
Exactly.
One that can attract other people or citizens or patients from other places. Because, like I said, our citizens are living in droves to go to other nations to seek for medical care, and that is pulling down on source of income. These are monies that we could have saved and channel them into other programs like the free quality education, like revamping our decay infrastructure. Yeah, so you see, and we can also put them in some other social programs. But as at this moment, we are losing, and we're also losing the human resource as well, and while also it's affecting our pride as a nation. So these are some of the things that needs to be addressed. This is why we are putting up this whole issue around with this ultimatum.
Okay.
Yeah, we are coming from a noble profession. We don't want to make any trouble for anyone. We love our patient, and we are doing this because we want the good for the nation. We want to change. We want the health sector to change. We want the health sector to be a pride, like what Ghana is having now.
Okay.
Exactly. Like it may surprise you to know that Liberia, as at this moment, is building its health sector, and it has started to attract citizens from other nations, including Sierra Leone. And another thing is that on this postgraduate training, and we have the Teaching Hospital Complex Act, which was passed and about a year ago or so, and we've started with the postgraduate training, the residents.
What is that act about?
So, and it gives power for us to train our own doctors in our own base, and like for specialization.
Okay.
And for example, I graduated in 2016, and we are mandated to do a 2-year internship, which I have just completed.
Okay.
And the next phase for me is to go into specialty.
Okay.
So that act gives that power for us to be able to train our own and local residents to become specialists. And because we are in acute shortage of specialists, and currently the number of surgeons in country are very small, and the ones that are around are almost at getting closer to retirement age.
Okay.
So you see, it's something worrisome.
Okay.
And so, and that's the blueprint that we have. Liberia came and borrowed it from Sierra Leone and implemented they might have made slight modifications, and just this year in September, Liberia was able to graduate 64 specialists.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Doc, let's say, now let's turn to the other side of the coin. Let's say the government was doing actually what it ought to do to the health sector, the equipment were there. Would you say here that doctors in Sierra Leone have the requisite attitude that a professional doctor should have? I mean, we've seen over the couple of years, patients have been complaining that they have been abandoned by doctors. So many have died. We've seen mistakes in theaters being committed by doctors themselves, leaving knives, you know, in the bellies of patients. You know, people die. Don't you think that doctors themselves in Sierra Leone should try to, I mean, step up a little and be more professional?
Okay, so
before you start demanding for all of these things, probably even if the machines are here, they might not be able to operate them.
Okay, so
due to the sophisticatedness of the machines and how they are.
So, well, with regards that's capacitation. So that's why it is the responsibility of government to ensure that.
Is it everything? Is it government? Everything?
I'm saying.
Okay.
If you need to, if you want your human resource to be capacitated, then it has to be coming. That has to be a responsibility of central government. Then when it's on the issue of our attitude, like I highlighted earlier, the profession is noble. Everyone who has
but the doctors are noble, are not noble.
No, the doctors are noble. That I'm coming.
I'm just saying it's a practical question. I mean, we've seen it. It might happen to me one day. Yeah. I might be abandoned by a doctor.
let me
someday, somehow.
Okay. So, and because the profession is noble, so anyone who has opted or want to opt for that profession must be coming from, must have that noble attitude. Yeah. So, and during the medical school, you are not only trained to treat the patient, but you are trained to your attitude towards the patient. Okay, and this is society. We are all human beings, and we might make our own little mistakes, but it's not representative of the entire doctor population.
But there are a few.
These like isolated cases that you might have heard about, like I've heard of, but I've not seen.
Not seen.
But again, we have a council, a regulatory council, and we have a regulatory body for which regulates for such type of attitude. Yeah. So and because there is a regulatory body, and we sign up to our code of ethics, and we hardly see these things coming up. Most times, and
what does the code say?
It has to do with the general practice itself, the do's and don'ts. Yeah, and again, like I want to emphasize that most people, I'm sorry to use the word, but most Sierra Leoneans don't know what is happening within the health facility, and now it's been run. Like for example, I was on a radio program or TV program the other day with my colleague, and a certain caller and a certain person called, and he made accusations that the doctor, and when she went to the hospital, money was demanded from her. Then it was later on, and but actually, if you go to Connaught, there is a system. There is a triage system. Connaught, again, you have the hospitals that are under the free health care, and those which are not. And there are also privately run hospitals. If you go to a privately run hospital, it's a private entity. Whatever service that is going to be get that to you, you must pay for it. So people want to generalize, want to make a general statement. And for places like Oladiri Children's Hospital or PCMH, these ones are under the free healthcare initiatives, and like for places like Connaught, it is not. So Connaught has its own.
So are you saying that Connaught is a private hospital?
Connaught is not. It's a government-owned hospital.
But why don't we expect free healthcare from Connaught?
And there are services which are made free, but not all.
By my estimation, I'm sure Connaught is the mother of all government hospitals, if I should put it.
No, Connaught is for basically for surgery and internal medicine. That's
so shouldn't we expect free healthcare there?
I don't know how that was structured, but we only have free healthcare. Connaught is not a free healthcare hospital.
Right.
So when people go there, you're expected to like, for example, you should buy a chart where your information is going to be collected later on. You buy that chart and you have to pay for medicines, you have to pay for other services. So most people, and if they are asked for this to pay for those services, they will now want to generalize that. I went to Connaught and money was requested from me.
All right, Doc, thanks very much. Continue to stay with us on the program. This is The Views, live on Freetown Television Network. The discussion is interesting a bit and very educative. I'm sure you're learning a lot out there. Do send your comments to the program 078-421-770. We have a few more minutes remaining to come to the end of the program. But before we do, let me come over to Commissioner. Commissioner, now let's talk a little on the organization, the planning committee.
Okay.
Is the committee being funded to organize all of these,
Yes, well, government through the Ministry of Finance lays out an imprest for the organization of the planning for the commemoration. But as you are aware, you're very well aware, it's an everyday talk that our economy is low.
Yeah.
But notwithstanding, as I mentioned, this year it has been much improved, and with the little that we have, we've been able to go through all the details of the planning, and we are already set, because this committee is drawn from various government ministries, departments, and agencies and voluntary organizations. In fact, it's a State House committee, but it's been rented to the Ministry of Defense, which is responsible for the entire Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces. And other ministries give their moral support, like say the Ministry of Works and Public Assets. They are doing the complete maintenance of the environs of the Ministry of Finance, where the Secretariat is. They do the cenotaph, the drainages and all. City Council comes up in joint effort with the Board of Trustees for the Taylor Cummings Garden. They beautify the garden for the program. Other ministries and departments also assist. Like this year, the production of all the wreaths for the ceremony at the cenotaph, the Asylum and Correctional Service, they take the responsibility. They say, okay, this year we will handle that. You see, like that, it goes round and round and round. But specifically, vote is prepared for the planning of the commemoration annually.
Right. So, what will be your final comments, even as we are concluding?
Well, there are a lot of people, countless of them, to my surprise, who do not or here have heard anything about the Poppy commemoration. You know, but I am promising them that the National Remembrance Day Planning Committee with the Silo Ex-Servicemen's Association, in collaboration with the Ministry of Defense. We are going all out to do sensitization and give publicity and education to people so that they know what this whole thing involves and signifies.
Okay. Thanks very much, Commissioner. Doc, you have any final comments? Even as though you are, a bit perplexed and trying to sit on the fence, keeping the gloves up, I'm sure you will sure want to articulate some of these issues because they are actually, squeezing you somewhere.
Okay. So,
what do you expect? What do you want? You've given a 21 days ultimatum. What will be your hopes?
Okay, so the 21 days ultimatum is out. It was out on Monday.
Okay.
So today, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, today is Thursday. So today is the 4th day. It's actually 21 days. Okay. 21 working days ultimatum, not 21 working days ultimatum.
Okay.
As prescribed.
Okay, excluding Saturdays and Sundays.
Exactly.
Okay.
The holidays.
Okay.
And that should end on the 3rd. But
Okay.
we are weighing the situation. We are closely monitoring. Like I said, and earlier on, our parent body decided to. They've been monitoring the whole situation, and they've decided to be part of
Support.
the support. Yeah.
Okay.
So it has taken a new dimension. Yeah, we hope by the end. We hope we don't get to that 21 days. We hope that by the end, in between or within this period, and we are open to discussions. We are looking forward to engage with the relevant authorities so we can discuss the way forward out of this quagmire.
Have doctors started working again?
Yes, we asked our general membership to return to work. At point of correction, that wasn't a step. 2 days step.
Sit back or relaxation?
Well, we assemble our membership, our entire membership, so we can come come together and deliberate on the issues and come up with possible resolutions. So that was what we had, because we our
How many
membership.
days?
2 days. Our membership cuts across everywhere in Sierra Leone.
Okay.
So we call everyone together. But again, we ensure that we set up a skeletal staff system to attend to emergency situations.
Oh, okay.
That tells you that we are not insensitive to the plight of our patients.
We are otherwise responsible doctors.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Right. Thank you very much, Doc. That's how we come to the end of today's edition of The Views. You've been watching live on Freetown Television Network on channel 35 and on Freetown Radio on FM 90.4. I heard co-chairman National Remembrance Day Planning Committee, Commissioner Rashid Thomas, and the Joint Secretary of the Junior Doctors Association, Dr. Aliu Gembe. He's a bit irate but very constructive in his discussion this afternoon, and also Commissioner here, who has a reservoir of knowledge from which we could tap as young people in the country. I'm sure most of you are oblivious, especially younger ones going to schools. Subsequent programs are years ahead. We hope he'll be coming to engage the media to educate people on the significance of the day. So that's it. Many thanks to those of you who watched and listened to the program on Freetown Radio. The Views returns tomorrow at 12 p.m. noon. I have been Eustace Victor Jones, bidding you a splendid day. Once more, our quote for today says, "Patientia comes es sapiente." It means patience is the companion of wisdom. Goodbye.